Okay, so yeah, so again, I've done my screen, and now I want to make a different piece of furniture, which is going to be a good example that needs to use the sweep tool, and a couple of others maybe as well, but mostly it'll be sweep, and again, good way of demonstrating that tool and how it can be used in different planes, and that's really the key here, understanding how the sweep tool works when you need to work with different planes. So I'm going to make a new family yet again. This one I will for once use the metric furniture template. And I think I've mentioned to you before why you have casework and furniture. They're both usually for furniture. But do you know the difference, why you would use one or the other? No. Okay, so the reason is casework is essentially built-in furniture, things like built-in cupboards, kitchen cabinets, those things.
But they're already in there.
Sorry, yeah, well, those just generally when you're making your own families. Okay, so you, for furniture, will use that template sometimes, metric casework, if it's built-in furniture. Okay. But metric furniture really should be used for furniture that isn't built-in. That's really its purpose. And yeah, they're all metric. So the reason you use the furniture template is because it doesn't show cut in section. Because if you're making, say, an office chair, and that's in section, that's right, you don't want heavy lines where that office chair is being cut in section. Yeah. You always want it to appear as though it's in elevation with light lines. And so the metric furniture template will give you that. It doesn't ever show things with that heavy cut line. So here I'm making a chair, and I'm going to use metric furniture. And so now, in plan, I'm going to work out the size of my chair. And I might also open up the handbook that hopefully you're all starting to use for your designs, the metric handbook, which I have a copy of here somewhere. Oh, sorry, that was stupid on me. So, let's do that. Okay, so it has a lot of the sizes that you need when you're working with things like seating. So a lot of that standard design data, which I've gone past now, is really helpful when you're making things like chairs. And I've gone past the right page. That's the beginning. Okay, so this will do. Okay, so that here is a good thing to have to hand when I'm making chairs, just those basic measurements. So 420 to 500 you can see is the range there. And this chair though isn't adjustable, so let's say it's 440 is probably good. And then also the depth there. So this one's fairly deep, so 470, or we may even go a little bit more than that. And then also the width I need, sorry. So the width though maybe isn't going to be here, but we can have I think 400 for the width as well. Okay, so I'm going to set those measurements out now in Revit. Just get rid of Illustrator, and then I'll do that with reference planes. So hopefully this is something you're all pretty comfortable with. And I'll dimension them with two sets of dimensions just so I can centre and well, I'll show you a little trick here. If I try to change this dimension now, notice how this is greyed out. Okay, I can't type in a different number there. And the reason is that I've set that equals dimension. So the trick is to just put in a parameter. So I'm going to go and add a parameter called width. I may not need to use it, but what it does for me is lets me change that measurement. Just a little trick, so it makes things a bit easier. And I might just bring those dimensions so they're a bit closer. So now I want to put in some reference planes for the front and the back of the chair. It's probably not so important here that this has a centre line. So I'm going to simply make this be the front. So it will be the 470. And yep. So remember what I was showing you before with the names of these planes. So this one here is called centre front back. So I don't really need to give this plane a name. And I don't really even need to draw a dimension there, but I will just so that I know what the measurement is. But that dimension really isn't necessary. So now I can go to an elevation view. Remember what you need to do if it's like this, if it's blank. Just the guide.sq saved the template, forgot to zoom in all the views before they set the template off. So you just need to remember sometimes when you see this, zoom to fit straight away, and that fixes it. So again, looking at our design data, what did I say, 440 is the height. So I'm going to just make another reference plane, 440 from the ground, and again, it doesn't hurt to draw a dimension in so that we know what that size is. And coming back to the design data, this one's fairly low. If we look at our reference image, you can see there it does have a fairly high back. A few other things here aren't standard, so it might change some of these measurements, but again, the back there is fairly high. So visually to me that looks like it's almost double the height of the base. Almost. So again, drawing a reference plane. At a guess, at first, I'll say that is 800 above, or maybe let's say a bit less, 700. But again, we might modify some of these things. I'm not trying to show you the exact sizes for this chair, just really trying to show you the general approach to modelling. So now I'm going to start to model in these legs, which fold into the arms and the backrest and everything else. So you need to think about the path that this circle needs to follow, and how far you can take that path before using a different plane. Okay, so here it's actually a little bit tricky because this, if you think about it, must bend. So this arm here, yeah, it comes in. That's right. So this plane here is slightly different to the plane of this arm, the plane of the seat bed. That's right. Yeah, so that's right. I'll be doing it down there. Exactly, that's spot on. So here I'll start with just this segment, and then we need to do a new plane when we get there. So with the sweep tool, I need to draw the path, but to draw the path, I need to draw in a different view. And actually, here I'll need to draw in yet another plane. So I've shown you you've got the centre front back plane. So that works with the front and the back elevations. Then you have the other centre line, which is the centre left right plane. And that works for the left and the right elevations. So I'm going to change to the left elevation. So I'm looking from this side. And again, looking at the reference image, we're looking at the side this armrest will be on. That's the idea there. Again, I can't see anything, so what do? Straight away, zoom to fit. And I can see those reference planes. That's really important. And now I can see already that maybe my dimensions will need to change because, again, this chair is not exactly standard. So I might even just here draw in another reference plane that might mark where the backrest goes. And you'll find as you make these things, you can work out a lot of these sizes as you go. So, so don't be afraid to put those reference planes in, but then adjust them as you need to get the result you're after. So here I'm going to start drawing with the armrest. So this reference plane represents the seat. I'm going to draw another reference plane to represent the armrest. And again, I'm just trying to put round numbers in here. So I'll make that 250. Yep, that's Yeah, well, still not right, but it's getting there. So, okay, so now I can go to make a sweep, and I can choose the, we'll go to first sketch path, and then you can tell which plane you're in if you're still not sure. In properties, it'll tell you. So I can see here I'm in centre, left, right, and it's because I'm drawing in the left elevation. So I'm going to draw a straight line for my beginning of my armrest, and just come around to the back, down to the ground, and then back across a little bit. So it's basically an L shape with a little segment at the beginning and a little segment at the end. So what I've done there is the beginning of the armrest, coming across and then down, and then across at the bottom. I'm not putting the curves in. Well, do you know how you can do the curves? If you want to put a curve in like this, when you're drawing this sort of shape, do you know which tool makes that easy? No? Oh yeah, kind of, yeah. Well, these aren't very good, but the last one there is, fillet R. So if you've been looking for fillet like you have in AutoCAD, that's where it is, it's a draw tool. Yeah. That's right, that's it. So with this one, I can choose 2 lines and then choose the curve. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'm doing it by eye. I can come back later and always adjust that, the radius. Just make that line a bit shorter. And I'm really trying to make this line as short as possible. Okay, so I've done as much as I can. So I'm going to finish that. And now I need to create the profile. So this is the path that the circle or the profile is going to follow. Now I need to draw my profile, which is a circle. And you need to look for this dashed line when you do that. So the first thing you do with sketch path is draw, obviously, the path. Now I need to draw the profile, and the profile is going to sit on this plane, that dashed line. And so to draw the profile, you can see here you've got this select profile button, and once you choose that, and then you can just choose edit profile. You can see then it's asking me for a new view because I can't look at the profile in this view. But in the floor plan, which is the first view there, I can. So I'm just going to choose open view. And then I can draw a circle. Just make it 10 mil diameter. Oh, sorry, 10 mil radius. Tick to finish. And then back in my 3D view, I can't see anything, so I'll just right click and zoom to fit. And so that's everything I need for the sweep. And it's good to see it when it's like this. It's a circle with a path. So then when I finish it, it's going to combine those two and extrude the circle along the path. So then if the armrest continued round in the same plane as the seat, I could do all of that with one path. But because again it's at that slight angle, I've got to do a new path. And because that's actually quite tricky, well, it's not that bad, but I thought it was a good chance to look at the blend tool. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you in plan. You can see this is straight. We've got to come across diagonally. So in the front view, I'll make a blend. And this might give you some options with the blend tool as well, because if you've used the blend tool, you might be thinking of it as only blending between 2 different shapes, but it's actually really effective when you use it to blend between 2 identical shapes. You might think, well, what's the point of doing that? I'm going to show you. So with the blend tool, I'm going to draw a circle. And then I'm going to go to Edit Top. And I'm going to draw the same circle again. So I'm blending between two shapes that are identical, which would be the same as an extrusion, except I'm going to move the second circle over to the left. So that might give you some ideas how you can use the blend tool to get sloping shapes. So it's going to blend from the first circle to the second circle, which means it's going to be diagonal in plan. Okay, so I can see that now. It's here starting in the middle, so I'm just going to drag that to where it should finish. And, oh, sorry, that's the armrest, so I've got to drag this one there and this one up here. Let's just look at that in 3D. I might have got the back to front. No, that's right. Okay, so you can see that joins fairly well. In the left view, well, I've probably done that back to front now I think about it, because that, oh no, that's right, that's the armrest coming across, so that's right. So you do get a bit confused with these because they're coming around in a spiral, but now that's right. So this comes up now for the leg and then the seat. So I can go now back to make a sweep again, and I'll just draw lines, again using sketch path. So here coming across from the end of that blend, and then up to where the seat should be, and then across. Now I've got to look at my picture again, does my head in every time. Yeah, oh, so I didn't take this back far enough, but that's okay, I'll just come to here, pretty close. And yeah, and then come up and something like that, and then across. And there'll be a chance to fine tune all of these. That's obviously not quite right, but it's fine for now. So, so I'm going to use fillet arc and choose these pairs of lines to put the curve in. Then you can come back and put the same radius in if you want to. Okay, so then I can finish the path, go to the, anyone be brave and guess which view I need to use to sketch the circle this time? So in the left view, looking at the side, how can I see the circle? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, back would work. Yeah, front or back. Yeah, spot on. So, okay, so now my path is actually over here on the centre plane. But that's fine. I can still draw the circle over here to the left. So I'm going to use a little trick here as well to make that easy for myself. I'm going to draw, again, using select profile, then edit profile, then circle, and trace the one I had before, and then select the circle and move it across. And, oh no, actually it should have been on the bottom anyway, so that's fine, I'll move it down there. So looking too far ahead. So there we are, so that's where it should be, I think. Is that right? Look in 3D, it'll always tell you, there we are, that's right. Okay, so now if I finish it, it will continue up from the previous one. Okay, so essentially though, even though I've changed the plane slightly, this is all work that you could do in the side elevation, thinking of it as though you're working again on the left-hand side. But then this is where you need to think a bit more about different planes, because to make the bar coming across at the back, I can't draw a path in the left plane, in the left view. Right? So the limitation with paths and a lot of things in Revit is that they're actually 2D. And it just, I think it'd be good if a lot of the people who do the marketing of Revit, and you saw this. A lot of people who try to sell and promote Revit don't actually know the program that well, and they will market it as this amazing 3D modeler. It's not bad, but it's really at heart a 2D program. So, it doesn't deal very well with 3D geometry. But here, though, I can go into the top view and make a new sweep with, again, sketch path, starting on the end of the shape I've just done, and coming across. Now, I can't go too much further than that because I want to do some nesting in a moment, but I'll just finish this shape with fillet, and that should give you the basic most important concept, which is drawing sweeps in different planes. So if I go to the front view now, I can see the shape, the path sitting on the ground. So that's okay, I'm still going to finish it. And then I'll go up to the top and draw my circle, just tracing what I already have made. Do you know how to make it snap to the centre? So SC is the shortcut to snap to centre. And then I can just snap to the shape. So I'll finish that now, and then again finish the sweep, and you can see now I've got part of it going in different directions. Okay, now that is probably as far as I would go in this file, because I would look at nesting that, because this is going to be, it's symmetrical. So in other words, it's the same on both sides. So I'd make this into one family, and then I'd bring that into a new family, where I'd have one family for the left arm, one for the right arm, but they're the same family. And that just makes it more manageable and also easier to model in some ways. So same here with the armrest, that's identical, saves you modelling it twice. And it's easy to adjust later, because if we want to make it wider or narrower, we don't have to worry about things joined into each other in strange ways, because they're separate families. We can manage them a bit more easily. So that's really all I wanted to show you with the modelling, so that you have a better idea how the sweep tool works. And so maybe if you haven't used it a lot up to this point, or if you haven't really used it at all, you should probably spend a bit of time using sweep. Try and think about things that you can only make using the sweep tool. And there are lots of things. Yeah, that's right. Capitals and cornices, yeah. Skirtings, that's right. Gutters, all of those things. Exactly. So you see them all the time in interiors because, because all of those things that are standard elements in interiors can only be made with sweeps. You could make probably skirtings with extrusions, but you'd have to extrude in every direction around your rooms. Yeah, sweep's much better. That's right.
Having used that extrusion, I must have that, but I haven't used it. It is great.
Yeah, and so I'll tell you, there is a very similar tool that you have in your projects that you may have seen. So for a lot of standard elements, you do have these tools like wall sweeps. So wall sweeps are built in for things like cornices and skirtings. You have that wall sweep tool that is made just for those things. But it works just like the sweep tool. So you need to know how the sweep tool works to be able to use that. Yeah. And so just to finish off there though, the small sweep tool's pretty good, but I don't really like it that much, just because it doesn't work very well with if you're doing it on two sides. So say you've got an interior wall, and you want to put a cornice and a skirting on both sides of that wall, which is pretty common. It's very difficult to do that with the wall sweep tool. So sometimes you've just got to do one, and then you have to model the other side using a regular sweep. So it's still really important that you understand the sweep tool. And so again, I'll give you some time to work on that. before I go any further. But then just want to point out those other tools. So you've done extrusions a lot, and actually pretty good in this class overall, the level of skill with modelling. Especially extrusions. Most building elements are extrusions, so that's the most important thing. We've looked at sweeps, touched on blends a bit, but I might do a bit more with that later. But then if you are comfortable with sweeps, revolves are even easier. So
what about voids?
I'll come back to that in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the last one then is swept blend. If you can do sweeps and you can do blends, there are still a couple of things you'll need to know to work with swept blends, but don't worry that much because it's the least useful.
Is it a combination of both?
It is in a way, but it's also more limited in some ways. So, look, it is good for certain things, but it again probably is the least useful and the one you'll use the least definitely because it makes things that you can't really build quite often. So don't worry too much about swept blend, even though I probably will show you briefly at some point. Focus on that, those others, extrusion and sweep. Revolve as well is useful, and blend, they're all good. And then with void forms, you just have the same options. So if you know those, then with void forms, you'll know them already. But I'll maybe give you some ideas about how you can use voids and combine lots of different solids to get a finished product that you couldn't get in another way as well. So I'll give you a bit of time though to work on those things, and you can try out maybe some different things that you need to model for your design, even something like this.